messages.
Hey everybody.
What's up, everybody? We are live.
Going live.
Going live.
Yes, turn off my glasses.
Getting situated here. Trying to make sure we're in all the frames. Yeah, see that? I got that little misty.
Because kids, this happens when the kids, have your...
Heavy devices. She got something on here. Hopefully.
It's fine.
How's everybody doing today? Let's get some chance for people to get in here. Yep, got that. We are excited for what's to come. A lot of awesome things on the horizon, and definitely keeping it positive in this pandemic, or this I like to call it usual times. That's what I'm calling it.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
We in all of them, I think.
No, you...
Just
moved it all the way over there.
All right, and then here, there we go. Oh, don't do it.
Hey, Lakeisha.
Hey, Lakeisha, what's going on?
You gotta get in that one over there.
Gotta give her a major shout out. I told her the other day she's in our client hall of fame, like one of the best clients we've had the pleasure to work with and continue to work with. So,
yes.
Good to see you dropping in for however long you're in here. Just wanted to.
I wanted to make sure too, last week we had a little issue. Greetings. Of seeing her comments.
I'm like,
last week we couldn't see the comments as I'm reading the comments.
Like, I can't see what. Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, that's why we switched to camera view, because in that landscape view, for whatever reason, we couldn't.
You don't touch that. Okay, thank you.
We couldn't see the We couldn't see the comments. So there were comments happening on. This one I'm pointing out here. This is my Facebook, and then we have
Brandon Geeks Facebook.
Brandon Geeks Facebook here.
Brandon Geeks Instagram, and then my personal Facebook.
Yeah, so we're just trying to, trying to get to all the people.
Yes.
Yeah, so we wanted to, I'll let you, you intro it in. I'll probably jag it up.
Oh my gosh. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Thank you all for joining us tonight for another The Brandon Geeks Weekly Live.
Yes.
Like Cleet mentioned, we hope you all have been, doing better than ever, considering everything that's been happening.
Safe.
We're still declaring, that you're safe, you're in good health, you and your family and your loved ones. We still declaring better than ever. And that, as swiftly as the COVID-19 came, swiftly it's obeyed it, okay? That's what we stand on.
Get up out of here, man.
Yes.
No more roaming streets.
That's right.
Proud of it, man. I mean, I got, so my brother, he'll normally laugh at me when I say this, but I got what they call hat hair, because barbers.
Brother?
Oh, Wayne.
Oh, gosh.
They laugh at me. Because, barbers are, they're not essential. So,
they're like, gotta go.
So we out here trying to figure this world out, so I might have to give him some clippers and make this whole thing happen, but it's all right.
And I was just messing with him. I was like, all right, get in there and get the clippers all here. Oh, shoot. That means he done messed up.
Yeah, so I'm trying not to do too much. So if y'all see the hat being a consistent visitor on our lives, something going on up here. I have a little fro.
I think everybody knows, it's like a pass, because,
Look, man, I done hit up every barber I ever talked to. They're like, can't help you. So, but anyway, So last week we got a chance to do some individual lives where we just kind of talked about our why,
right.
How we got started with the Brandon Geeks, introduced ourselves. I think we did it mainly on Instagram. So we thought it might be good to come on to all of our platforms as the Brandon Geeks and kind of have some of that candid conversation. Talk about where we, why we're doing this, right? Why we got started, and also, like always, answer questions about any of the things that we can, we're experts in. And then we want to talk about, for some of you who may not know, the things that we can cover. You know, for the most part, depending on where you might have met either one of us, you might know me for just doing logos or just doing graphics, or just doing websites. But, you know, there could be so much more we can discuss. So that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah. So like Clete mentioned, today's live is just a get to know us live. Like any questions you have, basically, you know, who are the Branding Geeks? If this is your first time joining us, what do we do? Or, you know, enough business talk. Y'all just want to know who's Clete and Kim. Like, what do y'all like to do outside of business and so forth. So it's a little get to know us live tonight.
Get to know us live. So, let's jump into it. So, Branding Geeks, how did we get here?
Hey, G-Ma.
G-Ma in the building. Thank you for your support, G-Ma. Hope you're being safe, and definitely miss seeing you.
Yes.
So, the Branding Geeks.
Right.
How did we get started? So, it started in 2003.
Many moons ago. No, I'm joking.
I think I'll take it that far back. Honestly, like I talked about in the live the other day, it started really in 2015. So, little background. I don't want to take it too far back, but this isn't our first rodeo. When Kim first met me back in 2005, I just started a Christian clothing line at the school we're going to. We're both UCF alum. Shout out, go Knights, you know what I mean? So when she first met me, I was working on a Christian clothing line at the time. I had two business partners, and we were putting on these pretty fancy, you know, fashion shows at UCF. So we had like 40, Jeremy in the building, wow.
Hey, Jeremy.
Dang, throwback, what's up, brother? We had 40 plus models in the show. We, you know, I mean, we did 3 major shows, and it was 500 plus people in each show. And it was a great experience. I mean, you know, I learned a lot about business. Obviously, I was mad young. We're talking over 10 years ago. But, you know, I learned a lot about business. I learned a lot about pulling major ideas. You know, starting off with an idea and getting it to getting it live right before people, right? So, you know, we started off with just designing some shirts, and those shirts started seeing people walking around UCF campus with our shirts. They didn't know who we were, and you know, it was really good. So it kind of started there, and you know, she stuck with your boy the whole time as I just developed that thing, right? You know, graduated from college and tried to keep on with it. Business partners went in different directions with their careers, and you know, I started to shift into web design, and got into web design because I needed to sell those shirts that we were making online. So that was kind of like my first intro into it. And then also there was a need at the time in my church to develop in that area. Big shout out to Mike, man.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for the love last week, man.
Yes.
That was major, dude. I really appreciate you. You didn't have to do that, brother.
But you did.
But you did. Thank you, man. It's just amazing to see. We're talking about UCF. That's one of my dudes from UCF, Jeremy from UCF. It's good to just see, you know, friends from college. We're still connected and be able to support each other in our careers now. So, big shout out to Mike. And if you're a business owner and you're in Florida, you're not a part of the BBO, you need to join the group. It's an amazing place to be. A lot of business transactions happening on, a lot of good content. This dude Mike is dropping knowledge. So, definitely get on there and be a part of that amazing community. I love it. We just jumped in there, and yeah, I've been eating up ever since. So big shout out to Mike. Anyway, so that was a good little. You know, I want to give that shameless plug. So anyway, we were going back to started the clothing line, doing websites, and I got to 2015. You know, I had to probably start 3 or 4 businesses at the time.
Hey, that's all right.
And it's not that they failed. It's just I kept shifting ideas. I was learning, right? So I was like, ooh, I want to do this.
And you're a creative at heart. So I think with a bunch of creatives, like, you know, you have this one idea and then something else comes. You're like, ooh, I can do this too, you know.
And then you find yourself with 3 businesses at one time, and you're like, and you're not being successful in any of them. So, you know, it took me to about 2015 when I was just like, you know what, man, you know, I know I can do all of these things, right? I'm talented in multiple areas, but if this is going to be successful, I'm going to need to focus on one thing. Let that be what we call in marketing the cash cow, and then, you know, build from there. Start some other things outside of the success of that first thing.
Right, becoming a master of one, and then
come on now.
You know.
Okay, I see what you did there.
Just a little.
So let's get this one out. This is another.
Sorry. One of our.
Yeah. I just keep. I'm like going lower and lower.
Falling.
So anyway, so we go to 2015 and started. A good friend of mine, Sam, let me shout out to him. We were talking casual conversation, and he was like, he was like, man, you always helping everybody out, man. You should be Cleat the Geek. And I was like, dude, you don't know what you just did, you know.
Right.
And at that very moment, I was like, yo, that's what I'm gonna name my business. I think it's a really effective name that represents what we provide, the services that we provide. So, hopefully it stays. Just keep. We're gonna have to drop this one, man. I ain't gonna mess with this all day. So started Cleat the Geek, and really started to hone down. At that point, I had already been working in career, working in my career as a graphic designer for 2015. So I was really only in there for about 3-4 years at the time. So, but way more refined. You know, had a chance to develop my skills. And at this time, I'm a graphic designer, web designer, and I'm taking a real long time with the story. So let me just get to the point. 2015 started Cleat the Geek.
They listen.
Yeah. Started Cleat the Geek. Started providing websites and logos for everyone, and then, you know, naturally, and Mike can attest for this. Naturally, as you solve the problem of branding and aesthetics, you also you start to realize that people have issues with traffic coming to their website.
Right.
So, you know, I started to realize that, man, I need to do some marketing. So I partnered with G. Wayne. Shout out to him. Shout out to a lot of people. It's all right. Telling the story.
Give them credit where credit's due.
That's right. Good people, man. It's good to know good people. So shout out to G. Wayne. We partnered with me in the early days to really establish a lot of structure you know, to the way that we're doing business, you know, in the way that we did our contracts, the way that we provided services, and, you know, started to provide websites, logos, and kind of stood there for a long time. But the entire time I was working, you know, volunteering at the church, learning video editing, and, you know,
you were serving.
Serving. And then, you know, my wife and her sister, you know, they have a lot of amazing ideas. So when you're a techie husband, you just take on all these new projects. So they wanted to do a podcast. I did a podcast a few years ago that was very successful, and I think they should bring it back. And they did this podcast, and it was amazing. It was Girlfriends podcast, and I got, you know, Wayne and I, we really just got grassroots. We found out what equipment we needed. We found out all the tech behind it, and we got them going, and that became something that we began to do. So fast forward to 2019.
Last
year? Yeah, you know, we have been working. I have been developing the business of Cleat the Geek. At this point, is about 4 years old.
Yeah.
You know, now we're doing graphic design, you know, graphic design, logo design, websites, podcast setup, you know, video editing. We're doing all these services, and, you know, biggest thing for me was, you know, I'm doing all this stuff, and it's amazing that Kim would kind of chime in and chime out, but we had never kind of brought it together. Yeah. So, you know, and Kim had got a chance to do a lot of social media strategy for clients over the years, you know, whether it be for her own brand and some of her friends. And it was like, listen, we're married, right? You know, let's do this thing together. And we kind of came together. We got an agreement on that. And, you know, I didn't feel right continuing the business naming it Cleat the Geek when she was such a major part of that, right? So we shifted to the Branding Geeks, and, you know, we did one of the things that I wish I would have done 10 years ago. We got a business coach.
So that part.
Yes, and that's the part that really allowed us to hone in on what needed to be done, what needed to be tweaked, and we're continuing to tweak. We don't got it figured out. Like we're still working this piece out. But our business coach is our business coach is Ronnie B. And
Ronnie Brown.
Yeah, like I said, like
well,
C
I'm
or
saying
something.
like some people may not like.
We're known for that.
Yeah.
Like Ronnie C. I'm like, well, I said B.
No.
That's what her nickname, her coin name is Ronnie Brown. And Kim and I've been following her for years, and she's just an extraordinary mind in business, man. She's
a beast.
She's a beast, yeah. And we're gonna kind of shift to the folks at the Branding Geeks. So personally, well, we can shift into that, right? Personally, I hadn't even noticed it, but over the years, especially since working with Cleat the Geek, starting a business Cleat the Geek, I have been working with a lot of female African American business owners, like Black female business owners, and not to say that I exclusively try to do that. It was naturally
the
majority just attracting those type of clients, and it started causing me to get introspective, and I was like, why do I have a passion first to just keep going after that type of clientele, but then why we're attractive? And it kind of let me look back at my childhood and realize that I was raised in a single parent home with my mom, and I ended up moving up with my dad when I was in high school. But the time that I had with my mom, I got a chance to see a very powerful woman in the inner city of Miami, Florida. Just a beast. Like, she was able to do so much with so little. And I always thought that had she had more resources or opportunities, she could have pursued so many different careers, started her own business, different things like that. And to me, honestly, it's still not too late for her. I think she still can do those things if I can get her to want to do it. But the passion that I had to want her to do that is what I take into each job that I take on for our target audience, which is African American female business owners. So, so it was a right fitting to have Ronnie B be our coach, because she is a guru in that space, and it really aligns with the clients that we want to serve. So we connected with her, and we have been in a great space ever since. We've been really clear on our messaging. We've been consistent. Like, if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't even be doing these lives. So let's just keep it real.
Y'all wouldn't have seen us.
Yeah, I was fine behind the computer, just keeping my little nuggets to myself and just serving clients. But I realized that, the things that I'm an expert in, a lot of business owners, they may need this content. They may need this
It's not common knowledge.
It's not common, yeah. And rightfully so. I get on here and I look for information from you all on various topics. So, it's about understanding that you should always be looking to share your genius. It's not about doing it just so that you could get, some money out of it, right? But it's really like, look, if I could come on here, spend an hour, spend half an hour, just dropping some knowledge on individuals and helping them out, man, look, I know that's going to rebound in my life. So that's my one part. I'll let you talk a lot about the other stuff, because I feel like I just been...
You got it, babe.
Oh, whatever. Can you just get in the frame over here? What's up?
Hey, y'all who's just joined in. We're just, our live is, we didn't necessarily have like a specific topic this week. Just wanted to do a little get to know us live this week, because I know some of you might be new to following us. So just wanted to give you all just a little background and history about us, where we're from, why we're even doing the Branding Geeks, or what's the Branding Geeks. So
it'd be good to talk about the our core values.
Oh yeah, core values.
Yeah,
that could be something.
So you don't know?
No, I'm saying like that could be something we could talk about. In addition to what everything else we said.
Oh, you didn't put them on there?
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay, my bad.
See,
that's her way of telling me I didn't put that on the list, so find some other time to talk about that. Okay. My bad. I didn't read all the way through. I'm sorry. I just...
See, that's why we mesh. We work well together, okay? You need somebody to stay on task, okay?
I just want to tell people everything. So.
I know. I'm going to have y'all in here for 5 hours.
Nah, I don't want to do that to y'all.
You need to get in the frame right there.
Oh, yeah.
And while we're talking, like, if you all had any questions, You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be just branding questions, but questions about us, like, you know.
Yeah. Like, seriously, like, I mean, and that's the biggest thing. We want to continue to provide a platform. We had some really good questions last week, so anything you could think of business-wise, or anything, just hit us up.
Right. And in the meantime, you know, if y'all are thinking about your questions, because I know they're going to come in, you know. I know Cleet hit on a little bit about, you know, what, you know, do the Branding Geeks actually, what do we do? Like, what are the items that we focus on?
Yeah.
Like he mentioned, you know, of course we do, you know, graphic designing, we do website designing, we do landing pages, we do social media planning or strategy.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, what do you want, like?
You're funny.
And also, I wanted to say, no, I'm gonna go back to that, but I also want to say we do like branding messaging, so getting clear on your branding message, because
that's big.
That one we recently added that to one of our items that we focus on as a business, because we came to that conclusion with a lot of our clients. You know, when we, you know, start working with them, many of them didn't have a lot of clarity on their business. So kind of like what I was talking about earlier, like, you know, they got a lot of ideas and want to do everything, but just left out in their confusion, and they need to get clear on their messaging.
Yeah, a good example of that, like a website project could run anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. So we would have some clients at the beginning of that project, they're selling books, and by the time we're ready to launch their site, they want to add T-shirts, and then they're going to be launching a podcast, and it's not to say that any of those things aren't needed, right? Or you don't want to be able to expand your business, but you want to start with a plan that you can see through, you know, to a measurable step, and then you add the next thing on, right? You want to be able to measure your progress. So, you know, we started to add the messaging and being clear on your you know, your launching plan, whether you're rebranding or whether you're starting out. Is let's take the time to get clear up front, so that when we, you know, so that we can have something to measure, right? Like, okay, we got the website out, you know, we sold our first book, great, all right, that was my goal. Now that I've sold my first book, let me look at adding my T-shirts, or let me do something like that, right? So
that's pretty much the items that we focus on. Clete wanted me to talk about a little bit more about social media strategy. Strategy. I made that up.
Yeah,
I'm a trademark day.
So like,
trademark everything.
So if a person wanted to, you know, they wanted strategy, like, what does that mean to them? Like, what do you help them with? Right.
For me, I'm a very detailed person. My thing is in the details and with organization, and I like writing things down. So to me, with social media, I help our clients with like getting a plan in place, because some of them are not even on social media. So one, let's get on social media. You got to have your presence out there on social media. Second thing is focusing on one platform. I mean, depending on your level, you can be on, of course you could be on multiple platforms, but in terms of one specific platform that you want to work the most, let's become a master of one of those platforms, and, you know.
And that's really important to mention. Sorry to cut you off, but
go ahead.
I just want to hone in on that, because, you know, you deal with a lot of times people want to have a one-size-fits-all mentality with your social media, right? So you want to over-repurpose, and listen to the keywords, over-repurpose your content. And that, what happens is it starts to grow stale, right? There's no change to it. There's no difference to it. It's like the same image you post here, you post on all the platforms, and it's the same thing. There's nothing really changing there. So what you want to do is look to super serve or focus on one platform, really perfect that voice, right? What's the voice? The voice is it's the tone, it's the feel, it's the personality that you have on that social platform. So you really need to take the time to develop that. For some people, that's long posts, right? Every time you see them, they're consistent with the long posts on Facebook, right? Then the other one could be just, like, for me, my voice most of the time is going to be gifts. Like, anyone who knows me, I literally talk in gifts. So
I'm more so, dude.
I'm the king. You don't want to come for me. We'll have a battle.
I don't want to come for me. Okay. We battle all the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm the queen of chess.
Hey, listen, we got to battle off all you want to. Let's go.
We both talk in the language of chess.
Yes.
We love chess. But anywho.
So yeah, but the point I'm making is understanding your voice that you would have on Facebook,
right?
And then on Instagram, you might have a different approach. It's still, you still want the aesthetics to look the same, right? But your approach can be very different. So
right, you just want to be intentional with whatever platform you decide to do. That's best for whatever business you have.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. Depending on what your business is, will determine like which platform would be best for you. But also, I was going to say that going back to what I was saying, I'm a very detailed, like organized person. I like organization, so I help a lot of clients with being, helping them be consistent with their social media by getting organized and planning ahead with their social media content. So that's, you know, laying out their editorial calendar for their social media and everything that they need to be posting, whether it's, you know, 30 days, one of our platforms. Pause to good connection. Yeah. On Instagram, back with us.
Pastor A, hey.
Hey, Pastor A.
Yeah.
And getting consistent with that, so.
Yeah, and the thing about that, like, you know, I know for me, is sometimes, a lot of times we don't post because we don't know what we want to post. You know, we don't.
Right. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we don't know. we don't know what we want to post, right? You know, so because you don't know what you want to post on a consistent basis, you just don't post.
Right, and that was like one of my things. So I know if I'm fighting through that, I know others have to as well. And I know if you have a solid plan in place, then I will help you be consistent, help you remain upfront in front of your target audience, and you know, get your voice out there.
And any coach, any entrepreneur, any business person that has any level of success will let you know the key is consistency. This is what we're looking to model before you all with these lives. Like, if we can be consistent, you can depend on us to be here every time to deliver content. Mm-hmm. Once we've, you know, there's stages to, you know, get into some marketing talk, but, you know, marketing is very, in a lot of ways, it's like building a relationship, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to have the curiosity stage, right? So a lot of times, you know, when you're doing your posts, you're doing these posts and you're being consistent with it to pique curiosity. They're like, okay, who's these branding geeks we keep seeing? Like, I keep seeing their lives. I keep seeing these posts. What is that about? Right? So we want to keep doing that. We want to be consistent. The only way to birth curiosity is to have consistency, right? So now, once a person is curious, they're like, okay, what's this about? Now they jump on a live. Your next step to take them on that journey to becoming your client is enlightenment, right? Mm-hmm. It's getting them is having that awe moment, like, oh wow, I never knew this particular. I never knew, right? Tony Baker, right? So it's that enlightenment part where you make the light bulb go off, or you talk about a particular thing that you're dealing with. You know what? Clients don't ever pay on time. You know what? I do need a website. I do need a logo. I was thinking, should I start with that, right? You hit them with that enlightenment, and then once they've been enlightened, then they're ready to commit, because now they're like, okay, you solved my problem. Okay, you solved my problem, and Facebook just said, boom.
Not Branding Geeks Facebook page. It just decided to close out.
I'm tired of it anyway.
I guess it's done for the night. We're not even going to bother up there.
Yeah, anyway, so what was I saying? Oh, but yeah, so once you got that enlightenment piece, right? Mm-hmm. Now a person is ready to commit. You solved their problem, you answered something, you've already piqued their curiosity, you solved the problem for them. Now they're waiting, they're more willing to work with you.
Right.
And turn this from a prospect to a client relationship where they're now going to be dependent on you to deliver a product or service.
Right.
So this is, you know, I'm saying all that to say, you know, a person might say, you know, I'm not into trying to use social media like that, where I'm trying to have a post calendar and you know, and try to have consistency. Well, if you're a business owner, if you're a content producer, I'm talking about if you want people to listen to your music, listen to your covers, listen to anything you do, right? You need to model consistency. If you're a church, right?
So it's like in all areas,
This is a concept that we all have to do if we want anyone to engage with us in a great way, and to buy our service, or just to be a friend, right? So like I said, it's very relatable to how you pursue a relationship. So just a quick little lesson in this this very candid conversation. You want to pique curiosity through your consistency. Once you pique curiosity, then you want to enlighten them. This is why we're coming on here, and we don't mind sharing all of this knowledge, because we understand that this is what builds rapport with you. We, if we're hiding it, we're like, okay, we're telling you like bits and pieces of it, and then we're trying to charge you like $5 for the rest of it. That's not who wants a relationship like that. This is why we partner with our business coach that we've chosen, Ronnie B, because she models the same thing. It's like, it's about not holding back on people, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? You want to be able to be authentic and give people some real help. So anyway, you pique the curiosity, you're being authentic, and you're providing value, which is that enlightenment piece. And then now a person is ready to commit. The last thing you got to do is just ask for the sale. You got to be like, all right, and this is what if you've been on any of our lives, we literally mention this every live. Call to action. That's asking for the sale. It's like you're enlightened. You're like, man, the Bearing Geeks are amazing. Okay, what do you want me to do?
Giving them something to do.
So for us, what we would like for you all to do is send us your email address, so we can send you these notes, and we can continue to email you all of the value that we have for you. Why do we want your email? So that we can continue to build this relationship. Right. We're not gonna lie to you. We're not like, hey, look, let's get this email. Something on the black market.
Speaking of that, Sabrina said, "Who's that and all that black?"
Oh Lord, I got my hat here.
Oh my gosh,
trying to hide what's under here,
But to kind of wrap up what Cleet was saying, because I know we've already been on here since 7:30. We want to keep y'all any longer. Yeah, you lost track of time, didn't you? Yeah, it's going in. Just wanted to end with a few the Branding Geeks pointers. Cleet was already hitting on some, but just some general takeaways, because I know some of you might be new to following us. We've mentioned these before in our previous lives, but these are just great takeaways, okay? One, if you don't have one, get a website. If you can't get a website, at least have a landing page. And briefly, you could explain what a landing page is versus what a website is.
Sure. So it's a web page. It's a one-pager where a person can consume who you are, the product or service you offer, and how to contact you. A website is going to go a step further. It's going to get into your methodology, how you provide that service or product. It's going to also give multiple ways to connect with you. You may also have multiple what we call sales funnels connected to your website. So website is more of a hub. Landing page is a one-pager. Quick, here I am, this is what I do, here's how to contact me.
Right. Whatever the case is, make sure you have one. In some cases, you're going to have two.
But that's the sales.
That's the next advance. When you get there. Second thing is,
help you get there.
That's right. Get a professional logo done. If you don't have a logo, people need to know, what to reference as your business. Yeah.
They take you serious. If you don't have no logo, it's like they're gonna think, oh, this is just an idea a person have. You haven't put any skin in the game.
Right. So get a logo. Okay. If you got questions on, you don't even know where to start with a logo, you can't necessarily afford a graphic designer. Hey, there's apps right now that make it easier, i.e. Canva, that you can go and create
and get something going.
Yeah, and get something to start you off with.
And we definitely reach out to us. We can help you. We train on how to use Canva effectively. For our marketers and business owners who, like she said, don't want to get a designer. So.
Oh Lord, I just realized I wrote somebody that. Second thing or third thing is be present on social media. Like I mentioned, we run into some clients that are not even on social media at all, or they're on social media but maybe just on their personal pages, not on the business page, or just not even active. make sure you get on social media, you put your business presence on there. In addition to your business presence, people nowadays, you know, of course they want to know about the business, but they want to know about the owners too of the business. So be active on your personal page and your professional or your business pages as well. That's
people are going to do their research.
They're going to do their research. I do my research too with companies, and I like to see, you know.
And if you don't have a Facebook page for your business, they don't think you're serious.
Yes. All right, and also, lastly, or second to last, be clear with your branding. You want to make sure you're consistent on all platforms, on your website, on all social media platforms. Make sure you're giving the same messaging across all the platforms. And lastly, be authentic. People can,
They can see straight through it, man.
If you're not being authentic, being yourself. So it's important, just be yourself.
Yeah, I mean, quick story, client I spoke to today. It's just saying how she really appreciated the fact that she paid her full payment already, but we're weeks beyond the finishing of her website, but we're still tweaking some pieces about it. And she was really appreciative that, from an authenticity standpoint, and an integrity standpoint, that we were still there working on our website as if we're still waiting for payment. And she was saying she's had several experiences where that wasn't the case. As soon as a person got their money, they were out. They were just very hard to get in contact with, and it was a bad experience. So, like Kim said, when you're authentic and you have integrity and you stick with that, not that you're perfect, but you strive for that. Clients appreciate that, and they become brand loyalists, and they will refer others.
Brand loyalists.
Yeah.
And yes, Sabrina, and yes, stop giving us different business to follow and join every month. And she's talking about when I talked about being consistent on all platforms. Don't confuse your audience, because when you're confusing your audience, they're lost and they're gonna jump ship and go somewhere else.
Don't be a trainer at the beginning of the month and then a life coach at the end of the month.
Yes.
So no.
And then Nasha said, need consistency. That's right. Consistency is very important. And so yeah, that sums up today's live. Let us know if you all have any questions. Like I mentioned before, it doesn't necessarily have to be all about branding questions. If there's any general questions, if not, we will let y'all go. I know there's a little slight delay on the live versus when y'all actually hear the audio. So I know the comments might come in a tad bit later.
Going through it.
That's our little heart floaty. Thank you for the hearts on Cleet's Facebook page and on my Facebook page. Some of y'all were giving us some hearts. Thank y'all for the love, and thank you all for the support and showing up on our lives. We really appreciate it. Why?
Because I know you. Let me tell you, she.
My gosh, where are we going with this?
I'm just saying, she don't like to do this, y'all. She don't get. This is a big step for her to be on this live.
This is very.
So I'm just hearing her a little nervous breaths every once in a while, but she's doing it, and we understand. Like I said, this is why we encourage you to get a business coach, because they're going to, they're going to push you.
Push you.
And you need to be pushed, because if you don't push yourself, you don't pursue the things you want. And you keep on saying next year. Oh, after the pandemic, or this, you keep pushing it off, right? You need to get with someone that's gonna. Like, matter of fact, we got a call tonight. We got a call we need to get on now. But it's that consistency that's keeping you striving for better. And you always want to find someone that's where you're trying to go, right? I mean, it's good to have a coach that can coach you, but if they don't have, any results, it's kind of like, okay, does this really work?
Right.
So. Definitely. Anyway, I keep going. This is why we have a script. So
that's right. That's right. I said, okay, for 5 hours, like I said earlier. Just joking. Anywho, like I said, we hope you all have a wonderful, better than ever week.
Yes.
Like we said before, stay safe, stay healthy, and until next week.
Until next week.
See y'all later. Have a good night, y'all.
Y'all be safe, healthy and safe. Stay out of these streets.
Yes. Bye.